On today's show,
we debate the biggest All-Star Game snub and the best trade destination for good old Melo.
what is going on in Chicago? What did that chair do to Enes Kanter?
And it's an all-ages party, both young and old invited to our top 10 plays of the week.
It's Friday, January 27th. The starter starts now.
Good evening, Sweet World, and welcome to The Starters. Shout out to everyone joining us live right now on NBA TV or later on YouTube. We're very, very happy to have you. I'm Jay Skeets, and alongside me, as always, that's Tess Mellis.
Thanks for joining us.
To his right, the international man of mystery, taking it to the max, Lee Ellis.
Friend.
Lily, and last, certainly not least, over yonder, it's the bearded one. It's Trey Kirby.
Hey-o!
Hey, yo! TK, what do you got, man?
Well, I'm here at the internet looking for your best tweets at #TheStarters. And guys, yesterday was Vince Carter's 40th birthday, and we celebrated by showing you his slick 360 layup.
Woo!
Still nice. We also showed you our 40-year-old Lee Ellis replicating that 360 layup. Though a few people have mentioned that might not have been a full 360.
357. I mean,
It was like a 48.
Anyways, we followed all that up by asking for you out there to send us videos of your dad trying to do a 360 layup, but unfortunately we didn't get any responses. Until 2:30 p.m. today, when @ThrillerEric hooked us up with a video of himself showing off his sick handles that go into the rim
Like Stan Van Gundy.
Yeah.
and putting in a pretty nice 360 layup.
Yeah.
Okay, not a reverse, but yeah, much more of a 360.
Also great was the tweet asking what else this dad can show us. To be honest, Eric, you've shown us enough. This thing brought the house down in the office when we finally saw it. So we're putting the call out again. Send us your dad's best basketball moves. It can either be via Twitter, #TheStarters, or email thestarters@nba.com.
Is that him?
That's the 360 dad himself.
He's like a bounty hunter.
This guy, that's the kind of dad that can do a 360 layup. So if your dad looks like that and can do that layup,
That is awesome.
please send us. This guy literally broke like a 4-year Twitter absence to send us in this video. Totally worth it. Totally worth it.
I think he has something in relation to Vince. He probably rides the motorcycles
Oh, yeah,
like
that
Vince.
guy's
eh?
got a chopper for sure. For sure. Okay. Get those tweets in or get videos of your dad doing a 360 and
see
whatever
your
we're
dad.
asking for now. We got
I
a
wanna
fun
meet
show.
that dad.
We got a fun show tonight. Task's going to hand out the dishonor for worst of the week, and we got the top 10 plays from the past 7 days. But we start with a little what you got. If you're new to the show, Trey presents us with some similar topics from the NBA world, and we got to determine the better choice. The catch, there's only one right answer, and it's whatever Trey Kirby thinks it is. TK.
Last night, TNT revealed this season's All-Star reserves, and then 3 seconds later, we all started arguing about snubs with a couple of big guys in the 76ers, Joel Embiid, and Jazz's Rudy Gobert figuring prominently in the discussion. They both got strong cases, but who's the bigger big man snub, Embiid or Gobert? What you got?
It's Rudy Gobert for me. Joel Embiid hasn't played against 8 of the 30 NBA teams, ever. So how can the coaches actually vote for him? I understand, even though I had him on my team, I understand why they didn't. They've never had to game plan for him, and it's the Sixers, so they really haven't game planned for him. Who they have game planned for is DeAndre Jordan for several years, and that's why I think he got picked over Rudy Gobert. Gobert is the better defensive presence, the bigger defensive presence this season. But I think DeAndre Jordan's getting a bit of a career recognition award, his first All-Star appearance.
What do you
I'll
agree with
say
that?
this about Embiid, because he doesn't have the minutes, but the minutes he is on the floor, the impact
He's
is
unbelievable.
enormous. The Sixers' defense is 11th best in the league when he's on the floor, up from nearly the bottom last year. They've been awful for the last couple of years, so it's not hard to make a big improvement when you've got a great big centre, athletic centre who can deter shots like he can. The Sixers have a net rating of almost 7 when he's on the floor, and he's third in usage rate in the entire league at 36.1. So there's no doubt that when he's out on the floor, he makes a huge impact. And I think the fact that he just missed a lot of games really is what cost him. Otherwise, I think he's in that team.
Yeah, this is tough, but I think the bigger snub is Gobert, simply because when we were making our picks, all 4 of us had Rudy Gobert in there, and we were a little bit more split on Embiid because you can make the case for Paul Millsap just because he's played twice the amount of minutes. They're both unbelievable players. I would imagine both these guys, knock on wood here, are both going to be in multiple All-Star games in the future. But Gobert is right now the best defensive big in the league.
Yes.
He challenged the most shots at the rim and has an unbelievable opponent's field goal percentage. It's craters down there around 43.5% when they're against him at the rim. So he leads the league in blocks, defensive rating, defensive win shares. He really truly is better than DeAndre. You said it, Tass. DeAndre sort of got the sort of sympathy vote a little bit because he hadn't made it in the last little while. I think that came into play, and that's why I think it's Gobert. But they also maybe didn't want to pick 2 Jazz players.
Yeah.
You know, they're a good team. They're not Warriors or Spurs like. And there's another name we probably could have thrown in the mix, in LaMarcus Aldridge, another big that maybe is deserving snub.
Easily,
Yeah, I mean, if
because
you look at the raw numbers here between Gobert and Jordan, there's not a lot to
No,
separate
no,
them,
they're
you know.
very, very similar.
Yeah,
very similar.
and in that case, you know, their team records are basically the same as well, 30 wins and 17, 18 losses there. I think it is fair, though, to say to DeAndre, who was first team All-NBA last year, you know, when it is so close, it's fair to give him the nod. He's earned it over a long time of doing this, and Rudy is still, well, yeah.
So you're saying when 2 guys are that close, you have no problem looking back at their past seasons and past
because
accomplishments?
DeAndre has been very close before. We recognise that. And Rudy, he was good last year. He's been even better this year. But again, he will get that favour in his. It will go in his favour at some point later in his career.
You're penalizing Rudy, though. You're
I'm not-
penalizing
well,
because
I'm
I think he has had the better first half. DeAndre Jordan maybe should have made it last year, and I think the coaches went up and down, you know, the standings and said, okay, we got a Spur, that's fine.
Yep.
Clipper, we don't have a Clipper.
Yeah.
And I think it's ludicrous that Chris Paul didn't make this
Well,
team.
we're going to get to that. But
Here we
well,
go.
what's the answer to this, Trey? It's up to you here.
I think it's Gobert too. I'd rather see Embiid in the game, but
Yeah.
like you guys are saying, Gobert has been a better DeAndre Jordan really this season. But it wasn't just the tallies getting snubbed last night. There were also a few smallies out west who didn't get an invite. Currently injured 9-time All-Star Chris Paul didn't get the nod. Mike Conley was once again denied his first appearance. And in what is becoming a yearly tradition, Damian Lillard got turned down yet again. Who is the biggest West guard snub? CP3, Conley, or Lillard? What you got?
You know my case. You know my opinion. It's Chris Paul. Chris
I
Paul's
agree.
the best Clipper. Simply put.
Right.
You know, so why wouldn't he? This was a golden opportunity for the coaches. Just
Yeah, you
select
get
him.
one more bonus
Yeah.
selection. In a way, you're
without
absolutely
expanding the roster.
You're right.
Just check him off. Oh, we need an injury replacement. Then you can get a Damian Lillard
Yeah.
or whoever.
And as long as we use all-star selections to sort of build the case for a player's legacy and their Hall of Fame, then if Chris Paul has played at, over 75% obviously of his team's games, he's worthy of an all-star spot. You should put him in there. He should be in there. He leads the league still in real plus minus.
Yeah.
He carried the Clips
By a
when
long
Blake
way.
was out. So Chris Paul, he still should have been picked, and then you can leave it up to Commissioner Silver to either go with, be it a DeAndre, if you want a Clip representative, to go with a Lillard if you want another, point guard, like
It's
with
hard
Conley,
not-
whatever.
He's the Tim
it's gotta be
Duncan.
Chris.
It's the Tim Duncan factor again as well. He puts these numbers up every single year. His team's always good when he's on the floor, but it's kind of like, yeah, we see that from Chris Paul. He's injured. You know what? He can't play in this game. Let's just pick someone else. That's
Yeah,
what happened.
That's exactly it. It's hard not to think that the coaches did that and they just
Yeah.
said, "Oh, he's injured. He can't
Yeah.
play."
Because
But-
we all agree if Chris Paul isn't injured,
He's
he's
a
an
lock.
automatic lock.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, that's still, it's not like he played 5 games and you were like, well, Chris Paul's still amazing, so we should put him in there. He played a massive chunk of his team's games already before he went out with the injury. So I
Yeah.
think you automatically put him in there, and then again, you let Silver decide who's the replacement. That's a no-brainer.
And Damian Lillard has been snubbed 3 years in a row. I mean, he made one of those because he was an injury replacement, but this year hurt him because there's just so many guards in the Western Conference. And second, his record is 20-27 right now.
Right.
So it's just far inferior to his record last year when he was snubbed.
I
as
thought you
well.
were going to go Conley because you had Conley
I did, yeah.
on your picks. Yeah.
I had Chris Paul as
Yeah, of
well,
course.
but yeah, I thought Mike Conley should have got in there over Clay, which
We were all hoping for Mike Conley. I think
Yeah.
that he started
Yep.
off so incredibly well this year, career numbers. Then he gets the injury, and we just think this is exactly what happens. He came back early enough. He's played enough
He
games.
fractured his back and came back in what felt like 10 minutes.
Yeah, we would love to see him in there, but again, you mentioned the depth of that position. It's just too tough.
unless he gets traded to the East, is he ever
Yeah.
going to make one?
Yeah, it's true. All right, Trey, what's the answer with this one?
It's Damian Lillard for me. He's the first player in NBA history to be averaging 26, 4, and 5 and not make the All-Star
That's
team.
crazy.
And he's a number 1 guy. I don't know. Maybe they'll put somebody in eventually.
Yeah, that's
Anyways,
true.
previously on this season of the long-running soap opera melodrama, Phil Jackson called both the Celtics and Clippers to see if they were interested in trading for disgruntled Knicks superstar Carmelo Anthony. Not much has actually happened yet, but where's the better Melo destination, the Celtics or the Clippers? What you got?
I'll say the Clippers. The Clippers are in win now mode, and so is Carmelo. And this season, they've basically got to go all in because their team could look drastically different next season. If you go to the Celtics right now, they're a very good team. They're improving. They're not quite ready to challenge for a championship right now, and they don't really need a Melo type player. They've got bigger problems defensively and rebounding. I think that's what they need. I think he would be okay in LA. I think even though there'd be 4 superstar players there, DeAndre doesn't really shoot the ball, so it's not that big a problem.
Yeah.
I think he'd be a better fit for the Clippers.
Agree with that?
I don't think there's really a fit with either of them.
Right.
And you said they're a win-now team. That means they're not going to trade any of their win-now players back to New York. You're not getting much of a package back for if you're the Knicks, right?
Yeah.
I just don't know why you would trade him to the Clippers. You know, no disrespect to guys who'd be coming back, and J.J. Redick or Jamal Crawford, but the Knicks are a win-now team. You're getting guys on the other side of 30 back, most likely. There aren't a lot of assets there, so if I'm the Knicks, I'd definitely rather trade him to the Celtics because I think it'd get a better package.
Absolutely. I mean, all reports, though, are coming out here today is the Celtics aren't interested in trading any of those picks, be it their own, the Nets, any of their young guys in Smart or Crowder, and it would have to be like an Amir Johnson in the mix or a Bradley to make the contracts work.
Yeah,
I think it like the Clippers is more realistic, but
Yeah.
are the Knicks going to take those guys? You mentioned, like, is Austin Rivers going to be one of the big pulls, the big chips in trading a Melo? I mean, it sounds crazy. But you said the Knicks are win now. That's the problem. They shouldn't be. They should be win for the future around Porzingis. So that's, I guess, why,
sure.
you're right. They want the youngest. Trey, what's the answer with this one?
Well, I
Celtics,
think it's
Clips.
the Celtics, but literally only because I think Melo looks better in green.
Oh, okay. It looks pretty
Easy
sharp.
choice for me.
Looks pretty sharp. All right, that's what you got. Lots more still to come on the show tonight. When we come back, don't you go thinking we forgot about those Bulls.
I thought we forgot about them.
No, no, no. Tass hands out the dishonor for worst of the week.
Welcome back to the show. It feels like we should be talking about the New York Knicks or the Chicago Bulls because it's time for the worst of the week.
Ladies and gentlemen, the worst of the week.
Well, this week, the worst of the week, it's not the Knicks, it's the Chicago Bulls. On Wednesday night, Bulls lost a game they led by 10 with 3 minutes left. The Hawks went on a 19-4 run to close the game, and that's when the mouths of the Bulls' best players opened. They opened wide in the locker room. Jimmy Butler and Dwayne Wade took their teammates to task. Here's Wade. Everyone don't care enough. It just doesn't mean enough for guys around here to want to win ball games. It pisses me off. And here's Butler. If you don't come in this bleeping locker room pissed off after you lose any game, something is wrong. I want to play with guys who care, guys who play hard, who want to do well for this organization, who want to do whatever it takes to win. Then, interestingly, Butler turned the talk to late game shot selection. This appeared to be aimed at rookie Paul Zipser and third-year Bull Nikola Mirotic. I understand that if you have an open shot, take it. But at a point in the game like that, you have to get the ball to your best players. And Wade concurred. My thing is, if you're going to shoot those shots, you better have made that shot a lot of times, and you better put the work in. And I don't see that enough. As if that was enough to garner worst honors, the next day another powder keg exploded when Rajon Rondo posted a diatribe on Instagram, accompanied by a photo of him, Paul Pierce, and Kevin Garnett as members of the Celtics. My veterans would never go to the media, he outlined on social media. They would come to the team. My vets didn't pick and choose when they wanted to bring it. They brought it every time they stepped in the gym, whether it was practice or a game. They didn't take days off. My vets didn't care about their numbers. My vets played for the team. When we lost, they wouldn't blame us. They took responsibility and got in the gym. They showed the young guys what it meant to work. Is he typing all this with his thumbs? Even in Boston, when he had the best record in the league, if we lost a game, you could hear a pin drop on the bus. They showed us the seriousness of the game. My vets didn't have an influence on the coaching staff. Ooh, they couldn't change the plan because it didn't work for them. I played under one of the greatest coaches, and he held everyone accountable. It takes 1 to 15 to win. Ubuntu. When you isolate everyone, you can't win consistently. I may be a lot of things, but I'm not a bad teammate. My goal is to pass what I learned along. The young guys work. They show up. They don't deserve blame. If anything is questionable, it's the leadership. The Chicago Bulls. I am out of breath. Wow. Your worst of the week. That's a lot.
Well earned.
A lot to take in.
Yeah,
worst
well
of the week,
earned.
definitely well earned.
And we learned about, 25 minutes ago that Wade and Butler are not starting tonight versus the Heat at home in Chicago as a form of punishment. So they might play in the game, might come off the bench, but you're not starting.
Yeah.
Imagine they get the DNP CDs.
Well, I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I wouldn't bet
They're
on
too
that.
thin.
be a
Not
bold
going to
move.
happen.
It'd be a
they
bold
didn't
move
now-
for
I mean, if you're
For sure.
Hoiberg, if you're Hoiberg and you're trying to get back that authority, that's one way to do it.
Get back. Has he ever had it?
Well,
I don't think so.
question.
I don't think so.
I mean,
But
Rondo
what a mess.
may not be wrong about guys already calling out the coach. So Jimmy Butler said it multiple times that he's basically called out the coaching staff several times.
Yeah.
That's 100% true.
Bulls, good worst of the week.
We got a runner-up.
Oh,
and
oh
this
boy.
one is great. Enes Kanter,
Oh.
he broke his forearm not during a basketball play, not during that. He was upset, tried to rip his jersey. That didn't work, so he punched a chair, and this is when he breaks his forearm.
Oh, man.
He's reportedly out 6 to 8 weeks because of this shot right here.
Oh.
Takes it out on the chair. The chair didn't have enough padding. Maybe he hit the rod
Yep.
on the side of the chair. Who knows? Takes a look. Yeah, that kind of hurts. But he puts his weight on it here as he gets up, so that didn't bother him. But producer Matt thinks, he thinks that he realized it right here.
Oh,
All
yeah.
right.
I agree.
It's over. 6 to 8 weeks for Enes
That's
Kanter
a
because
tough
of that.
loss for the Thunder,
Oh, yeah.
too. Obviously, like in the playoffs, but jockeying for playoff position. He
He's
gives
great,
them
yeah.
15 to 20
Yeah.
points every night. He's good for that.
Yeah.
You know, Westbrook can only do so much. He's going to have to be really do any more, but do more. So that's a
Got to make those jerseys a bit looser. That
You're
might have
right.
saved the whole broken bone.
Tearaway jersey.
I do like that we're like, not on a stretch, but I like every year in the NBA, we got to have somebody break their hand in a weird way.
Yeah.
Or forearm or whatever. Like we got Kanter here with the chair. We had Blake Griffin last year with an
Yeah.
equipment
Yeah.
manager.
Kevin loved knuckle push-ups back in the day.
Amari Stoudemire with the, I guess, fire
Fire
extinguisher or
extinguisher,
whatever
yeah.
it was a couple of years ago or more than you. So you got to have someone.
Protect your hands, people.
Yeah.
Yeah?
You gotta protect
boxing
your
gloves?
hands. I don't know.
Oven mitts.
Yeah, wear oven mitts 24/7.
Crazy stuff. All right, quick break. When we return, so starters' top 10 plays of the week. You're going to like this one. Don't go anywhere. Back with the starters. Another look at our 360 dad.
Oh, yeah.
Sending this clip of the very smooth 360. Ooh. Nice stuff. People are tweeting us, Trey.
Yeah, we asked people to send in their dad's best basketball moves, and we got one really good response. It comes from Brent Barry, who says, "Really? We don't need your dad's best moves, so we'll change it. If your dad was not a professional player, send in their best moves. Steph Curry, you're exempt. Klay Thompson, you're exempt. We're good on that."
Yeah, we trust that they can probably still do it. Okay, great stuff. Let's get to the top 10 plays of the week, and as always, action-packed. Top 10, we start with 2 dunks from Myers Leonard.
Oh, nice.
Both on the Celtics, both on Mickey. Poor Mickey. Jordan Mickey gets it. Oh, that was the first one. 2 looks, and then here's the second one. Even bigger.
Exactly
Hung in the air a little bit longer.
Yeah, even Leonard liked that one a little bit more. Pound in the chest. Oh, yeah. Just made the starters top 10.
Duck face.
At number 9, this rookie's second-round pick, Malcolm Brogdon, has had some serious highlights this year.
Oh, yeah.
He's been throwing it down. He gets a shot blocker here in New Orleans as well.
Yeah, you got LeBron.
Yeah,
earlier this
LeBron,
year.
Kyrie.
Yeah.
Are the Bucks the best dunking team in the league? Ari, Giannis, Malcolm Brogdon throwing them
I
down.
like it.
Bucks be bunking.
At number 8, Aaron Gordon gave some great news this week. He said he's going back in the dunk contest, and here he is getting some reps in.
This is just a warm-up.
Yeah, this is nothing. I give that a 4.
He comes from nowhere. What a pass.
At number 7, 2 Marquise Chris alley-oops. Just like Aaron Gordon right
Yeah,
there.
very similar, very similar.
This Rook has been getting some PT lately.
He's got crazy hops, this guy.
This one is a little bit better against the Raps.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
The alley-oop.
Dismount, not so good, but
That's all right.
all right.
Showing his flexibility. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, not bad. At number 6, Willie Cauley-Stein gets the pass from Cousins and then
Kyle.
puts Corver into the baseline there.
Yeah, he tried. Well,
Yeah,
you know.
But he tried to take a charge in the air.
I guess so. That's a big dunk. That's a big
At
guy.
least he's trying on D.
Yeah, it's true. At number 5, Eric Bledsoe, quick dunk.
Oh, yeah.
I like the split of the defense
Yeah.
here, too. Both.
Real nice. Kenneth Farida's shot blocker goes after it.
I love how he sees the shot blocker and he says, I'm still going for it.
No foul?
Oh, yeah. Come on. These are all dunks.
Yeah.
Let's get to the game winners. Andrew Wiggins, down 1 on the road against the Suns. PJ Tucker all over him. It doesn't matter. Wiggins sort of falls, stumbles,
Wow.
and still manages to get the shot off and knock it down. Look at PJ Tucker. He's like, what?
Just
What?
disintegrates into the floor.
He's like, no way. He was falling out of bounds.
Word is he practices that, falls down and gets up. I just made that up. At number 3, Dion Waiters, a huge game winner
Moonball
over the Golden State Warriors.
against his old teammate.
Puts
Kevin
them away.
Durant.
Real nice. Yeah, KD said, of course Dion Waiters hit a game winner against me. Then the pose!
yeah,
Yeah!
Nets rookie guard, Karis LeVert, drops.
Oh
Wayne
my
Ellington.
goodness.
Does a 360 on the floor.
In lieu of flowers, the Ellington family kindly asks you to make a contribution to a charity of your choice. Wow.
The ankle breaker fun.
Lavert, that's dirty.
Heath Fellington right there. At number 1, the Vince Carter 360 layup. This man just turned 40. Oh, he's still doing it. Incredible, incredible stuff. And he told us he's going to play in 20 seasons, which would go into next year. Watching him play this way, of course he's going to play 20 years.
Yeah, he'll be doing only 180s by the age of 50 in the league, maybe. That's unbelievable. Vince, coming in at number 1, just turning 40. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday to Vince.
For sure. All right, one more break. When we come back, Lily hits us with the very solid play. Back with the starters. A quick look at last night's pick'em results. Trey Kirby is still alive.
The lead is safe.
Had the Wolves. You guys took the Blazers, so Trey needs this. He's got to win basically from here on out to at least tie this bad boy up, I believe. And
Yep.
on February 2nd, we will be doing our pick'em payoff because whoever's in last place has to do something weird, gross, strange. What are we gonna do if there's a tie? Both guys do it? We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. There won't be a tie.
Sudden death, maybe.
There won't be a tie. Come on, Lee. We can do this. Tonight's pick, obviously important. Trey and Lee have the Grizzlies. Tass and I got the Blazers. I like being on Tass's side.
Yeah, I
I'll
felt
tell you
great
that.
yesterday when I picked the same as Tass on accident.
So a huge game. Big game with pick'em stakes. All right, Lily, we were going VSP.
Well, we're going to Minnesota, and I'm a bit torn on this because it's really an unsolid play here by the Wolves. Look at this, 2 out of bounds saves. Look at this one, like that. And then Chris Dunn with a beautiful pass, and it's an alley-oop. So,
Strange.
yeah, a strange one. But
You do love hustle, though.
I love hustle. I love the double hustle. And then what a pass from Chris Dunn. Perfect on the money. That's what I call a very solid play.
You like hustles, eh?
I do.
We gotta get you a Swiffer jet. On today's Drop podcast, we had a blast. We discussed the coaches' all-star picks. We talked LeBron and Melo in greater detail. And Lee, he explained an embarrassing moment with his mailman.
We have the friendliest, nicest mailman in our area. And his name, I believe, was Fred. And so I've been calling him Fred for the last 3.5 years. Anyway, he wasn't on his route a couple of weeks ago. And I said to the lady, I said, how's Fred doing? And she gave me this weird look. And she goes, who? And I said, Fred, he normally does this route. She goes, you mean Jeff?
Poor Jeff.
Nicest mailman in America.
Well, you should introduce yourself. Maybe learn his name.
Nah, well, it's too late now. We've gone too far. So I have to keep calling
So you're
him
just gonna
Fred.
keep calling him Fred?
Yeah, well, he hasn't corrected me, so,
Oh,
you know,
man.
maybe he is a Fred, and they've got it wrong. The mailboat.
Doubt that. I doubt. All right, guys. We'll see you on Monday.
All right, thanks for joining us, folks. And remember, some 40-year-old dads eat potato chips on the couch, and some can do 360 layups.
Embrace the weekend, people. Send us your dad videos.